Have you ever wondered what the biggest obstacle to your own success really is? Why do so many talented people, brilliant companies, and promising careers suddenly self destruct? We often look for external enemies, the competition, the critics, the unfair circumstances. But what if the most dangerous enemy we will ever face is not outside of us, but within us? Today, we are taking a deep dive into Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. This book argues that our own ego, that unhealthy belief in our own importance, is the silent saboteur at every stage of our lives. When we are aspiring to achieve something, when we have found success, and especially when we inevitably face failure. Holiday isn't talking about the Freudian psychological ego. He's talking about the common definition, that voice of arrogance, selfish ambition, and delusion that whispers in our ear that we're better than we are, that we know more than we do, and that we deserve more than we've earned. It's the enemy that prevents us from seeing the world and ourselves clearly. This book is structured into 3 parts, mirroring the 3 stages of our journey. So today, we will explore how to fight the ego when we aspire, when we succeed, and when we fail. Part 1. Aspire, the enemy before the battle. In the beginning, when our dreams are big and our accomplishments are small, the ego is a dangerous siren's call. It starts with the urge to talk instead of do. We love to tell people about our grand plans. The ego gets a thrill from the validation. But as author Upton Sinclair discovered, this can be fatal. While running for governor of California, he wrote a whole book describing what he had already accomplished with his policies before he was even elected. The book was a bestseller, but his campaign failed. He had imagined success so vividly that he lost the hunger to actually achieve it. The brain can't always tell the difference between talking about doing something and actually doing it. This leads to a fundamental choice, to be or to do. Do you want to be someone, a CEO, a founder, a name with a title, or do you want to do something meaningful? The ego craves the to be. Just look at the great military strategist, John Boyd. He's virtually unknown to the public and has no bases named after him because he chose to do the work for his country, not to be a famous general. The ego obsesses over the appearance of success, not the substance of it. The antidote is to become a student forever. This means accepting that you don't know everything. MMA champion Frank Shamrock had a system for his fighters called plus, minus, and equal. Every fighter needed someone better than to learn from, plus, someone at their level to challenge them, minus, and someone they were better than to teach, equal. This creates a constant feedback loop that starves the ego. It's why Kirk Hammett from Metallica endured the grueling lessons of his guitar teacher, Joe Satriani, while others quit. He remained a student and became a legend. A controversial but crucial point Holiday makes is don't be passionate. He argues that unbridled passion is often an enemy of clarity and reason. Think of the leadership that was so passionate about the war in Iraq, or the inventors of the Segway who were so blinded by passion for their product they ignored market realities. What you need isn't wild enthusiasm, it's purpose, discipline, and a clear-eyed view of the world. Instead, Holiday suggests the canvas strategy. Make yourself the canvas for others to paint on. Find ways to help other people succeed without needing any of the credit. Figures like a young Benjamin Franklin or the legendary NFL coach Bill Belichick started their careers by doing thankless work that made their superiors look good. By helping others, they cleared a path for their own eventual massive success. This requires you to restrain yourself. Sometimes the bigger goal requires you to endure unfairness with grace. The story of Jackie Robinson, the first Black player in Major League Baseball, is a masterclass in this. He made a pact with his manager, Branch Rickey to withstand all the racist taunts and abuse without retaliating. His superhuman restraint wasn't weakness. It was the immense strength required to achieve a monumental goal for civil rights. And finally, in the stage, you must get out of your own head. Ego loves to live in a fantasy world of our own making, overthinking and imagining scenarios. It's the danger of early pride. General George B. McClellan in the Civil War was so caught up in his own perceived brilliance and the exaggerated strength of his enemy that he was paralyzed by inaction. He lost the war in his own head before the battles were even fought. Part 2. Success. The enemy within the gates. Once you achieve success, the ego doesn't go away. It gets stronger, telling you that you've earned the right to be arrogant. First, you must always stay a student. Genghis Khan, one of history's greatest conquerors, was legendarily curious, constantly learning from the people he conquered. He remained a student. As the great jazz musician Wynton Marsalis said, humility engenders learning because it beats back the arrogance that puts blinders on. It allows us to open up and receive the truth of what is happening. Next, don't tell yourself a story. The ego loves to create a clean, heroic narrative about our success. But reality is messy. The founders of Google didn't start with the vision to change the world. They were working on a PhD thesis. YouTube started as a video dating site. When the 49ers won the Super Bowl under Coach Walsh, he didn't tell them they were geniuses. He focused on their standards of performance, the small, essential details. It was only after they started believing their own hype that they were special that they started to lose. You must ask yourself, what's important to you? The ego wants you to want what others have. General Ulysses S. Grant was a hero in the Civil War, but in civilian life, he tried to compete with the super rich, got caught in a Ponzi scheme, and got bankrupt. His friend, General William T. Tecumseh Sherman, knew what was important to him and retired happily, avoiding the temptations of power and wealth. Success breeds dangerous delusions, entitlement, control, and paranoia. Think of the ancient Persian emperor Xerxes, who, when a storm destroyed his bridge, had the river itself whipped and branded with hot irons. That's ego-driven madness. More recently, Ty Warner, the creator of Beanie Babies, became so convinced of his own genius that he believed he could sell anything, leading to massive failures. This is why you must manage yourself. The more successful you are, the more systems and discipline you need, not less. John DeLorean, creator of the DeLorean car, thought the rules at General Motors stifled him. But when he was on his own, his total lack of discipline led to catastrophic failure. Contrast that with President Dwight Eisenhower, who managed the immense complexity of the presidency with methodical, disciplined organization. And a successful team must beware the disease of me. It's when we turns into I. General George C. Marshall, one of America's greatest generals, was the antidote to this. He constantly deflected credit and focused only on the mission. As football coach Tony Adams said, play for the name on the front of the shirt, and they'll remember the name on the back. To stay grounded, meditate on the immensity. Connect with something bigger than yourself. Nature, the universe. When you contemplate the cosmos as astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson does, your own problems and successes are put into their proper, humble perspective. And finally, maintain your sobriety. Success is intoxicating. To keep it, you need to stay sober-minded and rational, like German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who was known for her calm, objective approach, never letting ego dictate her decisions, even when facing down world leaders like Vladimir Putin. Part 3. Failure, the enemy in the aftermath. Holiday says ego doesn't just make failure harder to deal with, it's often the cause of it in the first place. When you do fail, the ego will try to destroy what's left. Holiday presents a choice, a live time or dead time. When you are in a period of failure or waiting, is this dead time where you do nothing, or a lifetime where you learn and grow? When Malcolm X was in prison, he could have let it be dead time. Instead, he made it a live time. He taught himself to read by copying the entire dictionary by hand and became one of the most powerful thinkers of his time. You must learn that the effort is enough. Focus on your own standards, not external validation. The great basketball coach John Wooden defines success this way. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. It's an internal measure. Sometimes we face fight club moments, rock-bottom, humiliating failures that force us to change. J.K. Rowling experienced this before Harry Potter. The key is to accept the lesson. Lance Armstrong, in contrast, let his ego deny his failure for years, destroying countless lives and his own legacy in the process. This is why you have to know when to draw the line. When you fail, especially if it's your fault, the ego wants you to fight, deny, and make it worse. John DeLorean spent years in court trying to prove he wasn't a failure, bankrupting himself. When Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, he was devastated, but then he accepted it, drew a line, and went on to start next, learning from his mistakes. You must maintain your own scorecard. Don't measure yourself by what others think. Measure yourself by your own internal standards. Warren Buffett advises us to decide if we live by an inner scorecard or an external one. When the New England Patriots drafted Tom Brady in the 6th round, they didn't celebrate their own genius. They chalked it up to luck and kept working to get better. And finally, in the face of failure and animosity, always love. Hate and bitterness are corrosive. When the media mogul William Randolph Hearst tried to destroy Orson Welles' film Citizen Kane out of pure spite, his attacks only made the film more famous. As Martin Luther King Jr. taught, hate is a cancer. Responding with dignity, forgiveness, or simply letting go is the only way to win. So, what's the takeaway from Ego is the Enemy? It's that the battle against ego is the one fight you have to wage every single day. We must be humble in our aspirations, gracious in our success, and resilient in our failure. The work on ourselves is never finished. As Holiday says, you have to sweep the floor every single day to keep the dust of ego from building up and taking over. If this deep dive into conquering our inner enemy is the kind of analysis that helps you navigate your own life, then you're in the right place. That's what we do here at The Book Whisperer. We find these powerful books and distill their wisdom to help you solve real-world problems. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next breakdown.